thank you for joining me. This is my first ever baking video on my new baking channel. Please subscribe if you want to find out more about some delicious recipes. I do pride myself on baking, especially sweet stuff. So if you're on a diet, this channel is no good for you. And today we are going to be making traditional British scones, or scones. Let's not start the debate on what you refer to them as. And these are going to be fruit scones. So first of all, our ingredients, we have 75 grams of butter, which has been chilled and cut into cubes. We have 350 grams of self-raising flour. We'll need 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, just 30 grams of white caster sugar, 75 grams of sultanas, approximately 150 millilitres of milk, and 2 large eggs that have been beaten. I've already set the oven to 220 degrees Celsius. If you are cooking in Fahrenheit, you need 475 degrees Fahrenheit or gas mark 7. And if you are using a fan oven, then you need 200 degrees Celsius. So now that we've put the oven on, then what we need to do is start to mix our ingredients together. So first of all, we are going to take our flour. So again, that was 350 grams of self-raising flour. And we are going to put that with the baking powder into a bowl. Make sure you level it off to make sure you don't have too much baking powder in there. There we go. And then what we're going to do also is take our chilled and cubed butter, and we're going to pop that in with our flour and our baking powder. Now what we're going to do is we are going to do the messy bit, and we are going to rub the flour and the butter together with our fingertips. So make sure you've got nice clean hands. And we don't want to overwork the flour, because what we'll end up with is the butter will all melt under the heat of your hands and you'll end up with a lot of sticky mess. So as quickly as possible, we need to mix the flour and the butter together to form a kind of breadcrumb consistency. Now that we've done that, we are going to add our sugar and our sultanas, and you can just mix those in with your hands as well. So 30 grams of white caster sugar and 75 grams of sultanas. So just evenly mix that in using your fingers, and make sure to separate all the sultanas if you can, because they do have a tendency of sticking together. At this point, I'm going to wash my hands. Okay, now that we've done that, we are going to pour, so we have 150 ml of milk. What we're going to do is pour all but about 50 ml of that into the mixture. The trick is with this mixture is not to make it too gooey and too sticky. A dry consistency is better. And we're going to put in also all but about 2 tablespoons of the egg into the mixture as well. Just leaving that in there. And we're just going to take a simple cold knife and mix that mixture together. And as you should be able to see, is that dough is starting to form now. You can use your hands at this point, but the only thing you don't want to do is for the mixture to get too warm. You'll be using your hands in a moment anyway. The mixture, if you melt the butter, too much butter with your hands, it will become quite sticky. Once you get to this point, if you're finding that you've got some crumbs still that's not joining the dough, you can add a smidge more milk. just to help mop up those extra few crumbs. There we go. It seems to have binded together quite well now. One of the nice things about this recipe is a very quick and easy scone recipe. I keep wanting to say scone instead of scone. I say scone. It's a very quick and easy recipe. Once you've actually got all the ingredients together, it does only take about 10 minutes to bake. So what we're going to do now is we are going to gather our dough together. We're going to put it out on our work surface with some flour ready to roll. See, we're practically done already. Grab the last few bits of dough. So this is how our dough should look. And we are ready to put it on a floured surface and ready to roll out. Don't forget as well to subscribe to my new channel or you will face my wrath with my rolling pin. So here we have our big ball of dough. Now this recipe will make about 10 decent size scones, but really it is very much a case of personal choice to see how big you want them. So you want to roll your dough out until it's about 2.5 centimetres thick. Now a plain cutter is better than a fluted cutter. As you can see, I don't have that. So professional. So what you want to do is cut out several rounds of your dough and pop them on a baking sheet that has either been slightly greased or lined with parchment paper. And you need to space these slightly apart. So I managed to get 5 scones, the big debate. Please comment and let me know whether you say scone or scone. How you're going to actually explain that in a text. I'm not quite sure, of course. You'll all have to leave voice messages. So we've rolled the dough back together again, and now we're going to create some more. So as you can see, my baking sheet only takes about 6 scones comfortably. Scones? I say scones, why am I saying scones? What we're going to do now is we're going to brush the tops of them lightly with some of the leftover egg. Okay, so now that we've glazed our scones with our leftover egg, we're going to pop those in the oven for about 10 minutes. So there we have our first 6 scones. So we're going to put those on a wire rack to cool down and pop our last few in the oven. Rather tasty if I do say so myself. So those are going to cool down now, and then we can have the great debate as to what you put on your scones. Do you put the jam on first or do you put the cream on first? I have the answer and I will show you once these have cooled down. So as promised, now that the scones have cooled right down, I said that I would answer the great debate as to whether jam or cream goes first. It is, of course, as the Queen herself eats them, jam first. So don't be making mistakes out there. No putting the cream on first. It definitely is jam first. And here we have our lovely scones in 10 minutes with jam and cream. Delicious.